All right, folks, it is June 24th, 2025, and we have an XRP market update. It's the current events, financial markets, and how to take advantage of the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. And boy, are we dialed in. Directly over the target, and the portfolio reflects it. And it's an absolute blessing to be here tonight. I wanted to set the tone here. Our good friend Jay Blessed in the XRP community. I got a chance to actually catch up with Jay, or at least say hi and what's up at XRP Las Vegas. And I thought that this was a nice tweet to set the tone. Anders asked us, how does it feel to be in the middle of one of the biggest revolutions this planet has ever seen? Right? And that's, XRP and more. But XRP, right, one of the missing puzzle pieces to this grand conspiracy. And XRP JB, that's Jay Blessed, he says, it feels like I was chosen to be here. And that's how it should feel for many of you that have made it this far to the XRP community. Only a few million people, and even, a percentage of that I would consider actually the real ones. The ones that understand what they hold. Understand that this is part of a new financial system. Confirmed that Ripple actually predates Bitcoin, believe it or not. And just like they lied to us in school, they're lying to you when it comes to cryptocurrency as well. This is why I started making content over 4 years ago, is because nobody was sharing the truth about XRP on TikTok. They're still not sharing the truth about XRP on TikTok. Let me tell you what. But the beautiful thing is that our community is growing. Our ecosystem is thriving before we even get all of this functionality that's on the way. And if you've made it this far, you got your ticket, you got your piece. Only a few million people are in this boat, in this ship. And the ship is called Perseverance because we've weathered the storm. We're breaking through to the other side. Smooth sailing, blue skies is what awaits. And that'll be reflected on the XRP price chart, you better believe it. The reason why in the thumbnail, I just put XRP update to keep it simple, straight to the point. Nobody can say it's clickbait. Because it's just an XRP update. That's all it is. And I show you the chart zoomed out since November when a new reality set in. That's this reality right here, folks. That's this one. The one that I'm wearing right now. This is the new reality that we entered. President Trump, XRP, utility digital assets destroying every other asset when it comes to investment opportunity and ROI. Unless you're flipping meme coins, and some of the kids are flipping meme coins. That's okay. That's cool. Some people win at the casino every once in a while as well. But if you've invested in the utility digital assets, not just XRP, you are part of the new financial system. And the ROI that you are now witnessing is happening because we're shifting from that era of speculation and lies into one of a level playing field where we actually encourage competition and may the best digital assets and ledgers win. And it's pretty clear who is coming out on top from an ROI standpoint, which is a direct reflection of the development in the ecosystem, the adoption of the network, the adoption of the financial system. And it's only growing. Folks, I don't know about you. It feels so good to just be in this community with so many people that understand the conspiracy, the story, decoding this reality outside of just XRP and crypto. We are part of a revolution that's bigger than XRP, but without a doubt, XRP plays such a key role. And we're going to take a look at the update on it after we get through our full current events, financial markets, taking a look at the legislation that's right around the corner. The catalyst for our space are right here. I still see confusion that people think the case is delayed till August, not understanding that Judge Torres has the decision on her desk right now. We're just waiting for the scene to be played out on this world stage where she accepts this settlement agreement between the SEC and Ripple. And no, it's not priced in. So without further ado, I want to have a lot of time for Q&A. I do want to get to Q&A and see where you guys are at, how you're feeling with this relief rally for XRP underway. Absolutely massive. So much strength on display for XRP. And so I want to get through my update rather quickly so we can get to Q&A. Everything's at ZachRector.com. I just recorded a new trading lesson And that would be trading lesson futures 101, the basics of trading futures. But in this lesson, I've included an arbitrage opportunity that I'm not seeing anybody else talk about or take advantage of. Nobody else. And so we recorded that. We're dropping that. That'll be available on Patreon. If you guys want to pick up this trading lesson, I'm going to make it available on my Patreon for you guys. It's Futures 101, the basics, and how we're taking advantage of an arbitrage opportunity that I don't see anybody else talking about. So without further ado, let's get into the update. ZachRector.com for all the resources. Let's get it rocking and rolling. Breaking news from President Trump. Fake news, CNN, together with the failing New York Times, and boy, is the mainstream media struggling, have teamed up in an attempt to demean one of the most successful military strikes in history. The nuclear sites in Iran are completely destroyed. Both the Times and CNN are getting slammed by the public. All I got to say is pics or it didn't happen, Mr. President. We want to see some more pictures. I saw the clip of the B-2 bombers returning back to Missouri. I think Missouri, right? We call it Missouri. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. And we want to see some more pictures and videos. And I am just glad that we've reached a level of de-escalation. I want to see and continue to pray for peace. We're not in the clear yet. Absolutely not in the clear. But it looks like the worst of it could have passed. And if I've ever seen a staged war, holy cow, what are we watching? Hey, we're going to send a volley of rockets. Okay, and then we're going to send, and it was, basically the United States came in and busted it up. And we let Iran show face. And then there was a little tit for tat as the ceasefire came live last night. And of course, there's been a little breaking of the ceasefire here and there. He said, she said type of activity. And we expect that to continue. But for the most part, it looks like the worst of it has passed. And what a week where we see the de-escalation coinciding with the same week that Judge Torres is going to say, go ahead on the SEC versus Ripple settlement. You better lock in. Vice President J.D. Vance says, quote, I'd love to hear an argument for why Powell cut rates 50 basis points right before an election, but can't do it now with inflation lower. Inflation coming down, yet Jerome Powell sticking it to us. Everybody's calling him out, including Judy Shelton. Powell insisting that Fed won't comment on President Trump's trade policy. Yet Powell has repeatedly said that everyone believes it will be inflationary. And now we have other Fed officials completely contradicting Jerome Powell, saying that the tariffs, the inflation that was going to come from that, maybe not so bad after all. All these folks that didn't understand how tariffs work, thinking that we were going to have to pay, 200% more for all of our products. And the point being, we already are paying 50%, 100% more when you compound the inflation over the past 4 years. But nobody talked about it, including Jerome Powell, as Judy Shelton is pointing out. Completely hypocritical. We didn't talk about policy when the previous administration was in office. But now that it's the big bad orange man, now it's okay for us to stick it, and we're going to hold strong. And the problem is, we've commented on this, it doesn't fix it, right? Lowering interest rates does not save the day. This situation doesn't get any better unless you own assets, unless you own hard assets with real utility and limited supply. Well, and then you're going to see 500% pumps like you just saw from the election. And by the way, we're about to do another 500%. So if you own assets, it's going to work out pretty well, but there's no way out of this one. The Fed and the U.S. dollar is cornered. You have to reset it. You have to restructure it. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says we're not going to default. That means you got to print. It's just simple math. Not Common Core math, simple math. Some of you guys might know the difference. I don't know. I saw Mr. I had actually tweeted out that Judy Shelton for Fed president, or Fed chair, I should say. I would have to agree. And it would be great to see Judy Shelton take over the Fed as we transition and dismantle the Federal Reserve and that private banking cartel. In fact, I forgot to pull it up, and let me do so real quick because I want to make sure that everybody sees this. I had to retweet. Head of private banking cartel gives U.S. banks permission to conduct crypto activities. That was my response and retweet of Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's statements on Capitol Hill today, testifying, saying that, quote, banks are free to conduct crypto activities. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Daddy Powell. I'm glad to hear that the rest of the banks that make up, the banking system within this country can participate in crypto. I'm glad to know that we're good to go. Meanwhile, this entity shouldn't even exist. Federal Reserve. That's why I said the head of a private banking cartel gives the U.S. banks, the little credit union, okay, go ahead, guys. Go ahead. You can't make a stable coin that can compete with us, and we're going to include in the Genius Act that you can't pass on the interest from your stable coin anyways, which really helps all banks, including the small ones. But that is the statement from Jerome Powell today. Banks are free to conduct crypto activities. We went from this is only criminal activity, this will never be used as just a pet rock, to now you're good to go. And now really we lift the veil on just how involved they've been with digital assets this whole time. Don't be naive to think that they're just now dipping their toe in this thing. We have proof that they've been doing proof of concepts with Ripple all the way back to 2016 and before. Right? They're just now lifting the veil for the masses to see. Because why? Well, they have a CBDC. Maybe in your country, you're going to do CBDC. Thank God in the United States, we're fighting against the CBDC. But for all intents and purposes, what are we talking about? We're still using a stablecoin that's issued by a central bank in digital form. So just because it's not CBDC in name doesn't mean it doesn't serve the same purpose. Right? And the only way to get out of this system, true freedom, is to own the rails that these stable coins and CBDCs run on. You have to go to the base layer. What are the CBDCs and stablecoins going to run on? Well, that would be the XRP ledger primarily. 11.11 billion in shorts could be wiped out if Bitcoin jumps 10%. Watch out for it. Perfect time. Like I said, I just recorded the next trading lesson. Recorded that up today. That'll be available on the Patreon. And that's the basics of futures. Right. So I titled it Trading Lesson Futures 101 because we're absolutely dialed in right now. We're so over the target with these futures trades that I've been in. Not only did we short Bitcoin last week, I went in at 107,000 on my Bitcoin short. I had a stop loss. I'd already been into profit about 20%, but I had a stop loss back at 105. So when the market bounced up to 105, my stop loss triggered and I still made 10% profit. So I secured my profit, right? But then Bitcoin went down below 100,000. So I didn't time it perfectly, right? Not perfect by any means. Don't need to be. The point being, market's coming down. We're still making money shorting Bitcoin. Warning everybody, trying to sound the alarm. And that was when they started to evacuate. When they evacuated the bases over in the Middle East, that's when I took profit on my XRP long, set it up for the Bitcoin short. I don't short XRP, we shorted Bitcoin. And then we just flipped XRP long, entries at 203, entries at $1.94, and that trade's currently up 25% on the bounce. 11.11 billion wiped out though if Bitcoin jumps another 10%. Well, that'd be taking us to what? 120,000. What would that price have to be? I'm trying to look at 117. Yeah. Yeah, so it'd have to be up to, yeah, pretty substantial bump, but that's the point. And the market makers are going to chase you. The market makers are going to liquidate you. So you better have a real strategy if you go into that game. I'll just warn you right now. Futures sounds fun, but you better have a real program and a real plan because these market makers have your orders and get a trade against you. So be careful, watch your leverage. So, and I'm going to show you guys the charts here at the end of this episode, but I think that we're just chilling out right now after a massive rally, and we're just waiting for the next catalyst to drop here that's going to push this market higher. Everybody's kind of in a wait and see phase where it got too fearful. XRP below $2, Bitcoin below 100,000. And so now folks bought back in, everybody bought the dip, but now we're waiting kind of see, okay, we're breaking the ceasefire. We're going to do a peace deal. President Trump goes to the NATO summit in the Netherlands at The Hague. He just arrived, President Trump. Glad to see that Zelensky was able to put a suit on for this meeting. And so we're waiting in a wait and see phase right now. But I believe that we are going to be moving back higher here. And we did see the worst. I do believe so. Now, what happens here is that the Federal Housing Authority, I forget what the acronym is, FHFA, something like that. They FHA. My apologies. I don't know why I was thinking it was a different one. It's the FHA. They just came in here and they said that you are going to be allowing you to use your cryptocurrencies to add to your net worth for qualifying for mortgages. They're exploring that. Sorry, they haven't gone live with it yet. They're exploring it. But as soon as we get this, I mean, this is the full capability of being able to use your crypto to qualify, to use your crypto for a down payment, to be able to use your crypto to buying the whole property, right? Depending on how much these assets appreciate and how much you have, you won't even have to cash out. The other party's just going to be willing to accept XRP. And Uphold hops on this, and they say U.S. regulators are exploring letting holding crypto count as collateral for home loans. Currently, crypto must be sold, triggering a taxable event to qualify. A new study on including assets like Bitcoin and Solana in net worth assessments could reshape how property lending works. Would you pledge your crypto to buy real estate? They give us options. Yes, maybe, depends on the terms. No, too risky. I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Are you excited to potentially use your cryptocurrencies, XRP included, as collateral? You'll be able to add it to your net worth to qualify. Right now, it's viewed as an alternative investment. And so most mortgage lenders aren't going to consider it. Some will. But for the most part, for them to consider it, they want you to convert it into cash. And so we'll see, you know, after the stablecoin legislation passes, and then this market structure bill goes live, there's a final last few things from the regulators that really open this thing up fully. I see somebody in the comments down below said, technically they are not counting it as collateral for home loans. They are just allowing it to be included in the net worth of customers to qualify for a loan. But yes, absolutely allows it in customers' net worth. And the thing is you're going to be able to do all of the above. Right? You'll be able to include it in your net worth. You'll be able to use it as collateral. You'll be able to just pay for the property with your crypto. All of the above, right? You'll be able to put your crypto into a DeFi that spits out yield that you'll be able to pay your mortgage with. I mean, the XRP DeFi yields have begun, as Brad Kimes is calling it, right? Digital asset investor Brad Kimes. I shared their tweets earlier today. I didn't see which one of them called it the XRP yield war. But I love the name, the XRP yield war. I've been talking about this. You have the AMM, the DeFi protocols, Flare, etc. You got the suits, you got your traditional banks and institutions. Everybody's going to be trying to sit across the table from you and do a deal for your crypto, in particular your XRP and other utility digital assets. SHX going to be dropping the deep dive this week. Stay ready for that one. I'm expecting it to make a big move. But what happened this past week was 60 billion SHX was locked up for 5 years in an escrow. So the problem that we had with SHX, one of the red flags when I was getting ready to do my deep dive, I was waiting for them to finish this escrow so that I could record my deep dive and have clarity on the tokenomics of this project. Because before this, there was over 90 billion Stronghold in circulation. And, max supply was 100 billion. I think that they burned some. And so like the total supply was like 94 billion. And the circulating supply was only like 5 billion, I think was on CoinMarketCap. I heard some other people say that the circulating supply was actually like 15 billion. Regardless, same point, right? The circulating supply was less than 20% of the overall supply of the tokenomics. Trust me, bro, situation is what we had. But we no longer have that. At least not to the extent that we did. 60 billion SHX has been locked away in escrow for 5 years. No surprise unlocks, no manual levers, just smart contracts enforced by Sorabon. Now, Sorabon is the smart contracts platform for Stellar. SHX supply is now governed by code, not promises. And this is a point that I've been making in the XRP community, is that our developers and builders and companies didn't have any smart contract functionality on the ledger. They didn't have it on Stellar either. But they decided to bring smart contract functionality to Stellar a few years ago now. I think it's been like 2 years. And it's a phased-in approach. But this has enabled Stronghold to be able to lock this escrow up. So this is another prime example of when you finally bring some programmability to ledgers that focused on liquidity first, that focused on a movement of value first, and scalability, which both the XRP ledger and Stellar both did. And then you add programmability. it really unlocks a tremendous amount of utility for builders that were already in your ecosystem and waiting with capital and funds to deploy. Stronghold is one of the few serious projects on Stellar. 99% of Stellar is a joke, if I'm just being honest with you. It's a scam, 99% of the tokens on Stellar. I mean, you could do meme coins on Stellar too. I don't think that they have a meme coin platform like First Ledger, like we do over here in the XRP ledger. But you can make tokens on Stellar with ease. And so there's a bunch of scams over there. But Stronghold is one project, one of like a couple that I own on the Stellar network. There's only a few that I view as actually legitimate companies, utilities, and projects. But Stronghold locking up $60 billion in escrow. Deep dive is going to drop this week. Stay locked in for that one. It's going to be a runner, by the way. This is from the CME group. Since launching on May 19th, XRP and micro XRP futures have shown demand across institutional and retail participants, highlighting interest in regulated tools to access one of the most watched crypto assets. 24,000 contracts traded, 542 million of notional value, and 45% volume from outside the United States. You know, it's interesting, in the United States, I was listening back on my interview with Sal Gabberti from Tucrium at XRP Las Vegas, and they have that 2x long XRP futures contract. And I was listening back to it, and there's some things that I had forgotten that he mentioned. One of them being, he said something about the amount of volume that they're doing for the CME futures is like 40% or something. So it's interesting to see the CME group put out this update. But then I go back to the interview that I did with Sal at XRP Las Vegas, and I'm listening back to it, and he mentions that they're doing like 40% of the CME volume last he checked. Now, the crazy part about that is that's just one ETF. One 2x long ETF is equating to this much volume for the CME. And the CME says this: since launching on May 19th, XRP and micro XRP futures have shown demand across institutional and retail participants, highlighting interest in regulated tools to access one of the most watched crypto assets. One of the most watched crypto assets. Yeah. I've been talking about the attention that XRP garners, and it's only going to pick up from here. Charles Brewer, thank you for the 20 spot. That's a big one. Thank you. The Fed is the fox guarding the hen house. Absolutely. They're not federal. There is no reserve. It's an absolute lie. And it's absolutely criminal. It's a criminal enterprise is what it is. 100%. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. Let's continue. I want to get to your guys' Q&A. Thank you. Now, XRP is one of the most watched cryptos, and with this attention, with this activity, with 1,000 different TikTokers talking about it, 1,000 different YouTubers, 20,000 different X accounts talking about it, what ends up happening is sometimes some misinformation gets shared. So sometimes some stuff gets shared that isn't 100% true. And so I wanted to take the opportunity to clarify there was an API issue with the wallet that Upbit has that had, I think, like 5 billion XRP in it, and it got drained today, or so it seemed. And so I see this unknown DLT account shares here. XRP exchanges reserves are dry as the financial system prepares to adopt ISO 222 and DLT, supply shock coming soon. And this is a wallet that went from having 3 billion XRP to having none. Right? Exchange reserve. Sorry, over 5 billion. It was up at 6 billion. 6 billion. The reserve went from 6 billion to basically nothing. And what ended up happening is I was listening in on a space that Vet was hosting, and Vet is one of the validators on the XRP ledger. And he clarified that there's no significant drop in XRP reserves at major exchanges. You can check hourly changes with this rich list actually querying the XRP ledger, XRP Rich Bot. And what this shows us is that Upbit, this was Upbit that was showing that API issue. They still have 6 billion XRP. Now, what's interesting, and this stuff happens. There's price glitches. You guys see that get shared around all the time. And usually that's another API issue. It's an issue with the software. It can be an issue with the order books where one person sets some crazy order on the order books and the system allows it to go through. And once again, I'm not saying that, they're not running tests on private ledgers and stuff too. I think that they have been. We know that they have been, right? And you could play around with a fake XRP token traded at $50,000 value. You absolutely could. There's not two prices of XRP though, so we want to clarify that. And then sometimes these things happen, and then it gets shared out so quickly in the XRP community because just like the CME group, which is the largest derivatives platform in the world, is acknowledging that XRP is one of the most watched cryptocurrencies. It has an incredible amount of attention. And so when things happen in the XRP ecosystem, the story gets picked up and it starts getting shared out everywhere. And so I just wanted to take this moment to clarify what happened, to note that we got to have discernment, especially in the XRP community, because you guys know the game plan. If you want to go viral with XRP content, you completely do the FUD or you say it's going to the moon. It's just that simple, no in between, which is exactly what I try to do, is shoot you straight right through the middle of the BS and the FUD and also the hype. And we probably lean a little bit to the hype side, some might say. That's okay. That's okay. But I also wanted to point out here that Upbit is the largest exchange in South Korea. And when you look on this rich list, right? Let's take a look here. Let me make sure that this is dialed in. Oh, I forgot that I had adjusted that screen. There you go. So Ripple has 40 billion. Unknown Wallet here has 23.9. I don't know who that. I think. Who is that? 23 billion. Where is that at? I wonder if Vet said in the comments somewhere. But yeah, Vet explains the issue. They query third-party APIs. That's where the issue came from. But Upbit has 6 billion XRP. 2.6 billion on Binance. Chris Larson has 2.6 billion. Uphold has 1.8. BitHump has 1.6. Arthur Brito has 1.3. And Coinbase has 884. So they don't even have a billion XRP. I'd be interested to see how much Caleb and Brown has. I think that Caleb and Brown isn't very far behind Coinbase. I think they're up there. I think that they're pretty close up there. But Upbit, the reason why I wanted to point that out to you guys is that is the largest exchange in South Korea. And you have to understand that South Korea makes up to about 20% of the XRP market cap and trading volume. Like 20% of our activity for XRP comes from South Korea. They love XRP. I mean, it's an understatement to say that they love XRP. They're obsessed with XRP. And I've actually spoken and gotten to listen to a trader out of South Korea who has echoed those points. He's echoed that sentiment, confirmed it. 100%. Steve, thank you for the 20 spot. I really do appreciate that. Thank you guys. Only a few more points to get through, and then we're going to go to rapid fire Q&A. Thank you for stopping by. If you haven't already, let's make sure that we have liked this video. Thank you for smacking it and tapping it, sharing it out far and wide. TikTok, you guys too. If we could get to tapping that screen, I'd greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let's tap it, smack it, share it out far and wide. XRP Ledger Software Update 2.5 is out. This is how the new update will push the XRP Ledger forward. This is a big one. This is a big one. These amendments, this functionality, it unlocks so much utility and it attracts so much value. And that is going to equal XRP price go up, what you're all here for. Yes, it does lead to that. Because what we're going to get in this one is batch transactions. Massive. Massive. Token escrow for ROUSD, memes, treasuries. So right now you can only put XRP in an escrow on the XRP ledger, just like Ripple did. After this token escrow passes, you'll be able to put your meme coin in an escrow, ROUSD, treasuries, other real world assets tokenized on the XRP ledger. Any token on the XRP ledger could be put into an escrow. So if you got a generational wealth bag of XRP memes that you want to pass on down to your children, you can do that. Love to see it. Permission DEX, this is a big one. Permission domain is in voting right now. Permission DEX, this is going to allow institutions to use the XRP ledger in a compliant way. So for banks and institutions that need to know who they're working with, they'd be able to build out their own liquidity pool, essentially, that would allow them to conduct basically KYC or KYB, so they know everybody that they're working with within that liquidity pool. This is to evade working with somebody who is on the sanction list. Think of Ripple, think of the biggest banks and institutions in the world. They cannot be in an AMM liquidity pool with a bad guy, right? I don't want to get in trouble. So I'm just a bad guy, right? You know, one of these countries on a sanction list, you know what I'm talking about. And so what the permission DEX allows them to do is create their own AMM, their own liquidity pool, their own DEX, their own decentralized exchange, where they know who all the participants are. That's what this is. So for example, if Swift wanted to integrate the XRP ledger, they could do so with the permission DEX that would allow all 11,000 member banks to join their permission DEX in a compliant way where everybody knows that they're in a safe environment and they know that they're only operating in a pool that is with other Swift member banks and institutions. Right? This is where this goes. And folks wonder, well, where are the institutions, where are the banks on the XRP ledger? And we're starting to see them, right? Stablecoins issued on the XRP ledger, other real world assets issued on the XRP ledger. But what we need is some of these last things, right? Credentials, DID was another one. And it's like, these are all the steps that get us into that fully compliant, yet still decentralized XRP ledger. So you can still use the ledger in a completely decentralized way, but you also can do so in a compliant way if you need to. Permission delegation to delegate account permissions, more granular. You know, it gets interesting here. I see a day not too far in the distant future here where you pass off your keys to your castle, in this case, the keys to your crypto, by locking up your crypto, your XRP, and if you want to pass on down some meme coins too, you know, and other tokens on the ledger like ROUSD or treasuries, tokenized real estate on the ledger, tokenized real world assets of any kind on the XRP ledger, you'll be able to do so. I mean, you'll be able to include this within your trust. When you go to pass on the wealth down to your children, you'll have it triggering in the escrow within the XRP ledger. And you can, you know, hand off the keys to your executor of your estate to fulfill your escrow, and you pass on down the wealth to your children. I mean, we're not far off. We're not far off from being able to do this completely all within the XRP ledger. You can do this now with your XRP, by the way. You already can do it with your XRP. If you wanted to lock up 1 million XRP in an escrow and you wanted to set a trigger on it, you could. You could. With ease. With ease. Because what you do is you lock it up in the escrow and then you take it to your executor of your trust. You take it to whoever that's going to be. And basically you give them the keys with the set parameters on what's going to trigger that escrow unlock. But this gets even better when we add you know, the ability to escrow all these other real world assets and other tokens on the ledger as well. It's a big one. Non-amendments and new release schedule. There's a lot of helpful fixes and improvements to make the XRP ledger software run better, more efficient, and stable than before. So big amendment for the XRP ledger, big update that includes multiple amendments for the XRP ledger is now here. So they're going to start updating. You know, the validators will start updating their software. This is a go. And they're voting on these amendments. And now it's time for us to catch up. I wanted to show you guys this tonight because this is what we need to be shooting for in the XRP community. I was talking about how the Joey wallet, we need to use the Joey wallet along with just telling our friends and family to onboard another 10 million XRP wallet addresses, another 10 million people to the XRP ledger. We need to think bigger. We need to start seeing activity on this ledger. And with this functionality will come the utility and activity, without a doubt. And here's what we need to be shooting for. Just as a first stop, we can do a lot better, by the way. But this is just a good target, a good goal for us to shoot for. This is Solana. And the Visa CEO says we've been embracing stablecoins. Yep, they're coming. Solana shares this, and they say that over 10 billion in stablecoins are issued on Solana, with 140 billion in monthly volume. Now that's pretty staggering, right? See, what happened here is we thought that Solana was just a meme coin ledger. They're just playing around. And for the most part, I do think a lot of it is playing around. But you got to give them some respect because, yeah, they have all the memes. They have all the crap. There's a bunch of pump and dump cabals and just crap and shady scammers on Solana. But they also have 10 billion in stable coins issued on Solana. And they have 140 billion in monthly volume just within their stable coins. That's significant. And that's where we need to be going. So far, I think we're only at about, what are we, 3, 4? Are we at $500 million ROUSD minted yet? I don't think we are. I have to get the update, but we need more ROUSD minted. We need more USDC. We now have about half a dozen solid stablecoins issued on the XRP ledger by legitimate issuers. And then we need to see that volume pick up. 140 billion in monthly volume. That's a good goal. 10 billion tokenized on the ledger. That's a good goal. That's where the XRP ledger is about to be at. Now, you guys saw Arthur Brito arrived. Just a couple more data points and then we're going to go to Q&A. David Schwartz chimes in on the Arthur Brito. Why did he appear after 14 years? Arthur Brito, for those of you guys who don't know, he's one of the 3 creators of the XRP ledger. David Schwartz says, my favorite theory for Arthur Brito's mysterious post is that many, many years ago, he set up a dead man switch. Many, many years ago, he set up a dead man switch to send the private keys to his XRP ledger accounts to me if he doesn't post for 15 years and he can't remember how to shut it off. So David is saying that Arthur Brito set up a dead man switch so that if he didn't tweet in 15 years, his XRP was going to go to David. Now, of course, David made this up. David is a funny guy. But the Riddlers, I see them already going crazy. Everybody in the XRP community is going crazy because they saw David mention switch. So now they're all talking about David's mentioning the flip of the switch. Here it is. Here it is. I should have titled this episode tonight, David says it's time to flip the switch. That would have been some real clickbait for you guys. But David says that's his favorite theory so far. What do you guys think about Arthur Brito showing up after 14 years? Can't be a bad sign. It can't be a bad sign. He didn't give us a thumbs down emoji. Also appearing this Thursday is going to be Chris Larson, co-founder, executive chairman, and former CEO of Ripple. He's going to be on the When Shift Happens podcast, which I think is, I don't know if they're sponsored by Bitwise, if that's a Bitwise sponsored podcast, but that's going to be this Thursday. This Thursday. I'm excited to listen in on this one. They're going to talk about what made Chris hungry for success, IPOing his first internet company in the .com era. It's going to be interesting to see what he has to say about IPOs this time around, the Bitcoin revolution, Ripple's efforts working with and educating financial institutions for more than a decade, how Ripple and the coin it uses, XRP, managed to stand the test of time when most of the early projects are no longer around today, and much more. This is going to be out on Thursday. Can't wait to watch that one. Arthur Brito coming out of the shadows, and Chris Larson, he doesn't appear too often either. It's going to be interesting to listen to what he has to say. Now let's get a market update and a technical analysis update. A little TA from Cassie Trades. Momentum is back. What's next for XRP? Yesterday, we were watching closely for another test of the $1.90 fib, the macro 0.5 retracement. Price had bounced from 191, but hadn't yet cleanly touched that support. But instead, XRP reached $1.98, just a hair above the $1.90 fib, and was instantly met with strong buying interest. That kind of front-run behavior is often a major signal of strength. It tells us buyers were anticipating that level and weren't willing to wait for a perfect touch. The market showed its hand and the reaction confirmed it. Yeah, that was guys like me and you that were going long XRP at $1.94. We were the ones front-running that. We are so dialed in. We've been front-running it every single time. And this is why the folks calling for those deep corrections that never comes in. There's too much buying demand for XRP. This bounce happened exactly at the end of our consolidation. If you've followed markets for a while, you know this is classic behavior. Compression into the apex, a fake dropout, and then strength that flips the pattern and begins the next trend. That's exactly what appears to be happening now. The structure of the low is also very telling. It's impulsive, not corrective. That isn't the slow grind correction. It looks like the start of wave 3 to new all-time highs. For those of you guys that don't know Elliott wave theory, wave 3 is your strongest wave. It's the most aggressive. Wave 5 takes you higher if you get an extended fib up to the 4.236 and past. Wave 5, you'll go to a higher price. But wave 3 is the most aggressive wave, and that's a wave that we're now going to take to the upside. So we are fit. We just finished up a wave 2 correction. ABC correction, XYZ correction, play around with the TA correction, and now we're ready to go higher. You want me to synthesize this down and make it simple for everybody to understand? The correction's over. The consolidation's over. Now we enter the most aggressive wave, wave 3, to new all-time highs. That gives us a reason to lean bullish here, even if some volatility remains. She says, but we're not fully out of the woods yet. XRP still needs to break upward through two major resistance levels. We got 225, 269. These are important macro levels. Below that, we have support at 214, and $1.90 is the new low. Momentum is in our favor. The reaction from the lows is exactly what we wanted to see, and now we watch to see if XRP can carry that strength through resistance. We're still early, but this is how real moves start. Right now, as we record this update, XRP's back up to $2.18. In the thumbnail of this video, I shared this chart right here that you're looking at, which is a whole bunch of doofus moron TA. That's what you're looking at right here. My doofus moron TA special. Going all the way back to November election. Levels all the way down here at 50 cents. And here we are, looking to break up to that clean all-time high of $4. These vertical lines all mark dates that we watched and observed and we traded. And we hit that purple box once. We hit that purple box twice. And of course, we hit it a third time. And when it was time to go short, we flipped into the Bitcoin short. When we found support, well, we found support because me and all of you, we front ran it. We went long, and now we're back up to $2.20. This chop and consolidation that you see over the past 6 months has a lot of people wearing thin on their patience, not understanding that this is a very normal consolidation phase. We completed a wave 2 correction, and now we enter, this is what I'm trying to get across and trying to sound the alarm on, now we enter a wave 3 explosion to all-time high. And it's going to catch a lot of people off guard, just like it's going to catch a lot of people off guard when Judge Torres gives us the agreement on the settlement this week. That's going to happen. Yeah. And if it doesn't, I'll admit that I'm wrong. And then it'll happen next week. It'll happen next week, and then everybody will say, oh, well, you were wrong, Zach. That's fine. The number's still going up, isn't it? That's right. And I tell you what, folks, get tapped in with us. We're not going anywhere. We have been so dialed in the market movements. I've been giving away the free alpha here on YouTube. We get a little bit more in-depth over the target and in the moment in our Discord group. And I just recorded the basics of futures trading 101 here today. It's going to be available for sale on Patreon for you guys. So take a look at that if you want. But I try to give away the alpha for free here on the lives, on the updates every single day. If you appreciate what we're doing, you can show us your support by liking this video, sharing it out far and wide. We also ask that you use our community resources that we have linked up down below, and we greatly appreciate your support. Let's go rapid fire Q&A. How are we doing here? Bitcoin at 1066. It's nothing but strength for the crypto markets. 1066 for Bitcoin. Rapid fire Q&A. I got a super chat from Georgia Home Investor 20 spot. Always glad to listen to a true superstar. Let me catch up to that. That was GA Home Investor. Always glad to listen to a true superstar. That's you, Zach. Keep doing what you're doing, sir. Hey, thank you. Appreciate you, brother. That's a big one. Thank you. You guys are coming in with the 20s, the 20 spot. And we're going to see a $20 XRP. So I appreciate that. Thank you for giving me an XRP. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, 20 to 30 bucks is still my target for anybody who hasn't heard my targets for this bull run, which I put the timeline on that out to Q3 of next year. July, August, September of next year, we will have seen a $20 to $30 XRP. Let's go rapid fire Q&A. Appreciate you. Zach, how do we leverage our XRP instead of selling? Right now, there's firms that are offering 40% loan to value. So if you have 100,000 XRP, you'd be able to put up 40%. They'd be able to accept 40% of that loan to value. And so if you have 100,000 XRP, you'll be able to get a loan 40,000 of value. The problem right now that I see is that the terms aren't particularly favorable with interest rates so high. And then in this new market, they're tacking on significant premium. So it's not prime plus 2 percentage points, which is what your typical mortgage is going to run, right? It's going to be prime plus 2 percentage points and then doubled. Right? You're going to be at, 15%, 45% loan to value ratio. The problem is if you over leverage yourself and you don't have additional capital, you can get margin called or capital called in this case. So you want to make sure that you're not going to over leverage yourself if you do take out a loan against your crypto. I wouldn't jump to it right now because XRP is so volatile. I would wait till we get more stable. I would wait till this bull run concludes and then we stabilize at a new floor price. And then that's when I'm going to be looking to go into DeFi and also potentially using my XRP and other digital assets as collateral. So if you're taking out a loan against your crypto at 15% and the terms are, let's just say a year, you're going to need to be able to return back 15% just to break even. So you better have a damn good deal on the other side of that with what you're going to borrow your money for, right? A-Prod, thank you for the XLM target. $2 to $3 for this bull run. July 25th. What's July 25th? ISO? Fedwire is updating to ISO. I thought it was July 14th. Have I signed an NDA? So the thing about NDAs is you're not even supposed to acknowledge that they exist. Zebek, I don't think Zebek's done. Zebek had a nice bounce today, actually. XRP dress socks, yes, they're on the way. Yeah, we got some fun stuff on the way for the XRP family merch. Yeah, it's coming. Yeah, Craigo, July 14th for Fedwire, November for Swift. Full implementation of ISO this year. 100%. Yep. Rob B says, Zach, do you feel the XRP Moon catalyst will be from the case settlement, stablecoin and market structure bills, or from the ETF? All of them are bullish catalysts. That just is going to be a matter of what level do they take us to. So the case conclusion probably gives us a pop. Like if the case conclusion happened tomorrow or like this week, we probably get a strong pop. I would imagine maybe $3 max. It's just going to take us up to the next level of resistance, like significant sell wall. And so we wouldn't hit another significant sell wall till $3 again. Yeah. So I think that that's kind of how the dominoes would fall in that case, where it's like, case concludes. If it happens now, pops us up to maybe like $3. What was the other ones that you mentioned? Stablecoin, market structure bills. I don't expect that to actually impact price when that does happen. That could actually be a buy the rumor, sell the news event for crypto. I would actually watch out for that to play out when those do go live. Watch for the run up to the bill going live. That's typically how this works. So in anticipation of the stablecoin bill and market structure bill being passed, XRP could run up. In fact, that's what's happening right now. And then the ETFs is the big one. As far as Moon Catalyst, to provide context to a Moon Catalyst, I would describe that as going to $10 and beyond. ETFs. Yes. What keeps us above 10, 20, 30 and sends us even higher is going to be adoption from an institutional level. We need to see institutions using this at scale to hold that price. The ETFs could get us there and help us hold. To go further, we're going to need to see some significant adoption from institutions and serious liquidity, serious TVL on the XRP ledger. And I think that we're going to catch up to these other blockchains. Like I showed Solana with 10 billion in stablecoins on the ledger. We'll catch up to that in the next year. Like this is going to happen really quick. We're going to play catch up, and it's just like, because you have to understand that Ripple brings their friends. Ripple's friends aren't, you know, me and you, Joe Blow, with a little penny to our name. Ripple's friends are the, you know, hundreds and hundreds of the largest institutions in the world. Ripple's acquiring firms themselves that move 3 trillion on a yearly basis. So we're taking quantum leaps. And speaking of quantum leap, I was listening back at XRP Las Vegas. I described, when I was on stage with Sal, I described the Hidden Road acquisition as a quantum leap. And I mean, Sal said he was so bullish. He was so bullish on XRP. No rise on case settlement. Oh, no, we will. We will. I don't think it's a moonshot, but we will. It'll be a pop and then a sell-off. Yeah, we'll basically just pop up to the next big sell wall, in my opinion. Tell us about ZBCN Utility. So it's a payroll solution, streamlining payroll. Instead of having to wait every week or 2 weeks to get paid, you get paid in real time. They're part of the Circle Alliance. They're integrating with Circle. They are potentially working on a product with Ripple. I still need to see more from them, but we caught the motion on Zebek. Made a lot of money on that one. And we still have community members that hold significant amounts of Zebek. And I've been telling everybody, we're not done. I still think that we go to my upper level target, which was above a penny this bull run. We already hit my first target at half a penny, but I still think we go to a full penny. Yeah. Yeah, Linda, so your question, let me state your question here so folks understand the answer that I'm going to give. You said, if you could please talk about the truth about XRP value is based on the transaction fees and not the amount of money that goes through ROUSD, as I have, I see that XRP does not get credit for this. So what happens is when value gets tokenized on the ledger, it's not going to directly impact XRP price other than the news going out that value's been tokenized on the ledger. What's going to move the price of XRP is going to be the amount of transactions and liquidity that tokenized asset brings. And so when you look, there's been, like, Stellar had a bunch of treasuries tokenized on their ledger, but it hasn't impacted price of Stellar at all, really, because there hasn't been significant volume. So it's like, just because the value gets put on the ledger doesn't mean it impacts the native asset. What will impact the native asset is that throughput in the transactions, which drives more demand for that native asset. So that's where the value is going to come back to XRP. Many people mistakenly think that ROUSD volumes are not going to impact XRP price, and they will. it impacts XRP scarcity, and it allows for more liquidity to come into the XRP ledger. Without the stablecoin, you don't have that ability to hold US dollar derivative on the ledger. So we need the US dollar derivative, we need that Euro coin, we need the Brazilian real. We have seen a couple other stablecoins get issued on the XRP ledger as well. Many more on the way. And just the fact that Ripple has minted, whatever it is, 300, 400, 500 million of RLUSD, that's not what impacts the price. But what does impact the price is the volume and the transactions that that's going to bring, and then the demand that that's going to drive for the native asset for all the people that want to transact with that token. It's a good point of clarity. Thank you for the money gun, Craigle. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the gifts and the chats. Zach, I want to hear you emotionally talk about XRP. I tell you what, guys, I'm just worried that a lot of people are not prepared. They're not ready for what's about to happen. Retail sentiment, based off of the gauge that we've been looking at, is at a bear market low. And typically this is what happens right before big reversals. And just like Cassie Trade showed you guys on her technical analysis, don't take it from me. I'm just a doofus moron that throws some TA in lines and it draws some purple boxes on my chart. But take it from somebody that's a little bit more sophisticated. We're entering wave 3, which is the most aggressive wave within a 5-wave cycle. Most folks aren't ready. In fact, I don't even know if I'm ready all the way. Like, I'm terrified to sell XRP. I'm probably going to make a video actually explaining this a little bit more in depth, but the premise is I just am scared to get rid of this thing. Like, I'm scared to get rid of this piece of the financial system. Even though I know I'll still have a big bag, I'm just worried to give up any piece of it, right? I'm thinking to myself, should I really give it up? I'm scared to death to sell this sucker. Like, I'm going to stick to my plan because I know what I want to do with that money. Like, I know what I want to do with that capital. I have a very specific plan. But even with that being said, I still just am thinking to myself, maybe we should just hold on to this entire bag, because it gives us the ability to be our own bank, cut out all middlemen, and have true freedom. And the more of it that you have, the more freedom you'll have. And with all of this, XRP yield war that's starting up, everybody's going to be competing to give us yield on our XRP. And I'm really scared about that because there's going to be a lot of people that end up going bust, losing your XRP, not able to deliver on their promises. There's going to be a lot of that. It's going to be interesting. But we're going to conduct due diligence on everybody before we move anything. And that's going to be some very stringent due diligence. I see, I'm glad that some of you guys are being test dummies. I really appreciate you for doing that. Those of you guys that are throwing your XRP at some of these DeFi programs. And you guys are doing it the responsible way. It's like me with my meme coins. Although you go down a slippery slope. At first you throw 20 XRP at a meme coin. Then you throw 50 XRP at a meme coin. Then you throw 100 XRP at a meme coin. You know what happens after that. And then next thing you know, you're making these XRP meme coin trades and you're going, oh crap, I forgot that XRP is not 60, 70, 80 cents anymore. Because that's where XRP was at when the meme coins first started. And then XRP goes up to $3 and you're going, wait, I just bet 200 XRP. That's $600 on a meme coin. Oh crap. And then thankfully you're over the target. So you make a bunch of XRP. We got lucky. But I definitely got clapped up on some of those XRP meme coins. I tell you what. Have I taken any profit? Yes, I've taken profit on XRP meme coins. Yeah. And I'm just working on growing my trading bag right now. So I have my trading bag. I have allocations in the XRP meme coins. I've been making plays like XRP, SHX, You know, the rest of my cryptocurrencies that I don't have much long-term conviction in, I consider that part of my trading bag as well. And then I've been trading the futures as well too. Yep. And in the trading lesson that I recorded today, Futures 101, I explain, you know, basically what a futures contract is, how to place the order, and then I explain my strategy for how I use the futures to hedge and to leverage. So I use the futures for both, for downside protection, but then also to leverage when we're going back up, right? And then I talk about a specific arbitrage opportunity that we're taking advantage of right now as well. But my model right now is to short Bitcoin and then go long XRP. That's what's been working for me, and that's what I'm going to stick to for the foreseeable future. Zeus, Fox Knight, thank you for the 2. Appreciate that. Quality, passion, thank you, and God bless you. Football, Sin, Corruption. Don't know how you got that name, but that's an interesting one. 5 spot, thank you. Well, Zach, one day you won't need to sell a single XRP. You will live off the interest. Amen. Amen. And that's why I'm like, do we really even need to sell this? Especially if we're going to be able to use it as collateral, we're going to be able to use it in our net worth for mortgages, which is what I want to use my profits for, right? I've been pretty open about what I want to do with my crypto profits this bull run, and that's to start my real estate investment portfolio. So, might not have to sell. A-Prod, thank you for the 5 spot. Some believe in a $2 to $3 XLM is bearish. Can you explain why such a gap between XRP and XLM? I just don't see ecosystem adoption and activity with Stellar like I do with XRP. I don't see demand coming in from the ETS for XLM like I do for XRP. And I just see a lot of us have been holding bags of Stellar, and people are going to be excited to take profit. And so I think that that's mostly where I derive my $2 to $3 targets on Stellar. But Stellar is a coin that I'm going to hold on to some of my bag. Maybe 10 to 20% of my Stellar bag. But I am planning on selling about 80% of it. All you need is 50,000 XRP to live off the interest. So what's interesting is that the rich list has dropped down. If you have 50,000 XRP, I think that you're in the 1% now. That's been pretty incredible to watch. There you go, Jeffrey. Zach, big news. I know you don't think the ISO's that big, but friend works for Wells Fargo, says that they have shut down deployments from July 1st to July 14th for some ISO 222. Yep. Yeah, and let me be clear, you know, I do think it is a big deal. I think it's a really big deal that you have companies like Ripple that are, you know, using XRP Ledger payments and XRP payments in an ISO compliant way. That's very important, right? I'm not sending an ISO compliant payment when I send XRP. But what Ripple's doing with their payment flows, right, with their solution Ripple Payments, that's what's ISO 222. Similar, XLM and the payments that you and me are going to be sending across the Stellar network, that's not ISO compliant. What will be ISO compliant is what Stellar is doing with their XLM payments, right, and their payment solutions. Guys, I got to, one sec. I got to blow my nose real quick. I'll be back just one sec. Absolute cooker up here. Absolute cooker up here in my office. Okay. Let's pick up where we left off. Is it still a good time to buy XRP? I mean, I think I already said it's going 20 to 30 bucks by summer of next year. So do you want a 10 bagger? You know, I can't guarantee that. Obviously, I'm not going to give you financial advice, but clearly, you know, I think that the trajectory is quite substantially higher over the next 12 months, like 10x higher potentially. My base case is a $8 to $13 XRP. How much DAG do you hold? Yeah, so I bought more DAG over the weekend. Yeah, I bought more DAG over the weekend. What's your take on the injunction? Anyways, like, I don't even know why they put that injunction. It's like they just had to, you know, because they violated the law, they like had to place this injunction, I guess. But it was so general. The injunction just says, don't violate Section 5. I don't understand what the point of it really was. But even if it does stay, there's still ways that Ripple can distribute the XRP. They've already been selling XRP this entire time. Right, this whole entire lawsuit with this injunction in place as well, they've still been selling XRP. So I think that it's more of a perception. It'd be nice to have it lifted just for the market perception. But there is a chance that she won't lift it. There is. It's not the end of the world if she doesn't. Curious. Are many of you diversified stocks in crypto? Yeah, I don't hold any stocks. I passed up Ripple equity. I passed up Polyside equity. I'm kicking myself about one of those. I'm glad that I missed out on Polyside, but you know, that's the risk of the private equity game. But Are we getting hacked again? Why does this keep happening? Who's hacking the stream? What? And then people say that you can jump out and then jump back, and like if you refresh the stream. I don't understand this. If it's my streaming software, if it's my internet was down earlier today. But we've been having these issues every stream, and it's always after like the 1 hour mark typically. Like the last time it happened, it was pretty early in the stream. Like, I don't know what's going on. But it's like after we hit the 1 hour mark, we get into the late night session. We're starting to have some fun. We're all warmed up. And then we start getting hacked. How much of my XRP bag am I selling? Not more than 50%. Not more than 50%. How much DAG is enough? Well, it's just a relative question, right? How much XRP is enough? How much DAG is enough? It's like asking, how rich do you want to be? Right? Do you want to be a millionaire? Do you want to be a billionaire? You know, how much do we have to work with? Worship the YouTube gods. That's right, Stu. I forgot to mention how much we love YouTube, how much we love TikTok. They are our favorite platforms, YouTube and TikTok. They're the best. They do no wrong. We love YouTube. We love Google. We love TikTok. Will 10,000 XRP make me rich? It could. You know, there's going to be a lot of people that make a lot of money here but blow it. Now is the time to have your preparations made. when it comes to your exit strategy, reallocating assets as your portfolio grows and these assets appreciate. You need to de-risk. Yeah, if you're having sound problems, just refresh the stream. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know why we get hacked every time. We're getting hacked lately. 2 over the target. 2 over the target. Brito breaks his silence after 5,890 days. Just when you want to give up on the Riddlers and you want to say that the Riddlers are crazy, out of their mind, delusional, Arthur Brito arrives after 5,890 days. Unbelievable. So speaking of preparing for price appreciation, guys, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing the one-on-ones, but I've been doing a lot of one-on-ones lately. And, you know, they're not really scalable. They're honestly time consuming. Scheduling them, you know, lining up all these one-on-ones, you know, they do add up. But for the time being, I'm still taking them on. And we've been doing quite a few lately because folks are trying to understand how to position themselves before XRP does another 5-10x, before, you know, these assets appreciate even more than that, right? But not just XRP, the other utility cryptos that we have. And you know, people have been talking with me about their business, other investments. And so if you want to schedule a one-on-one call with me, it is available at the website. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing that, though, to be honest. Yeah, Waters Above says $15 by July 24th, huh? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, if you guys sell out, yeah, you'll have taxes to pay. Either long-term or short-term capital gains tax, yes. Yep. A 1970 Legend, thank you for the 50 spot. That's a big one. He says, are you still trying to figure out your problem with the 4th of July thing? Yes, I will update you on that, brother. I will update you on that. I also have a Trump XRP hat that's going to be on your way too. What we're trying to figure out right now is how we can give back. I don't even want to say the word, but how we can give back, not just on 4th of July, but just on a regular basis. We want to be doing some fun stuff, and so we're in the process of reviewing that. Yeah. Why would they make infinite people millionaires? How would that be good for them? Well, there's only 6 million XRP wallet addresses. Most of us have a few wallets. So there's realistically only a couple million people in XRP in a serious way. So there's way less people in this thing than an infinite amount of people, as you cited. There's not an infinite amount of people. There's a very small amount of people. And there's even a smaller amount of people that are in this in a serious way, that know what they hold, and they're going to actually hold on to their bags all through the price appreciation that we're going to experience. And they, or the powers that be, are not concerned at all about that, because they have financial services, they have businesses, and they got a program and a plan for you. their model works better when you have a little bit more money to spend with them, when you have a little bit more to invest with them. So the powers that be are going to juice this thing, also because they're already in as well too. So they're not worried about this. It's the plan. The plan is to pump this. It has to be at a higher price. Has to be able to handle these flows of liquidity that are in the trillions of dollars. Vince asks, how are you going to deal with capital gains tax? Well, that's the thing. You're going to have the hit, long-term capital gains. And that's why I want to get into real estate, because I'm trying to get write-offs and depreciation. So I have write-offs and expenses in my businesses, of course, but I need more. And so that's why I'm getting ready to go into real estate in a pretty massive way, because it's going to be a solid asset class that provides me returns while also giving me phantom write-offs like depreciation and more expenses and more losses that I can reduce my tax liability with. That's how I plan on handling the capital gains tax. Dennis, thank you for the 5 spot. Why has Brito shown up? IMF buyout of the escrow. Brad on stage with the IMF IMF lawyer. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Arthur Brito showing up can't be bearish. It can't be bearish. In my opinion, it's very bullish. It's a very bullish signal. And the fact, too, that Chris Larson's showing up on an interview this week as well. That's going to be dropping on Thursday. Where did I share? Right here. The When Shift Happens podcast is going to be dropping Thursday with Chris Larson. Somebody asked, are Zach and Hulk cool with each other? Yes. Yeah, I saw Hulk at Vegas. It was pretty funny. We were at the Caleb and Brown meetup, which was great spot that they picked. I forget which bar that was inside of the Wynn. That was my first time ever going inside the Wynn. What a beautiful casino. Those Caleb and Brown guys are pretty classy. So they had us over there in the Wynn. All you could drink, and I tried to take him to town for as much as I could. But yeah, the Hulk showed up. I got to see the Hulk. I like the Hulk. I respect the Hulk. I respect him. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. He didn't want to arm wrestle me, no. He said you are 6'4". Yes. It's funny. Yeah, a lot of these guys you can't tell, right? People can't tell how big I am, and you can't tell how short a lot of these other guys are that you guys watch. Always cracks me up. Always cracks me up. Some of these guys are big though. What's his name? Crypto Heavy, I think is his name on X. Dude is stacked. So there's definitely some guys that are bigger than me. But the XRP family is beautiful. Beautiful people. I recognize all your faces too. Sometimes, well, most of the time, I try to remember names. But I remember faces forever. Walking around there, I'm like, oh yes, I know you. I miss not really Vegas. I don't care to go back to Vegas in particular, but if we could have another XRP meetup, once a month, nice XRP meetup. I told CH love the picture of you and him. Who's CH? I don't. Who is CH? Is that Crypto Hulk? Oh no, we did get a picture together. Yeah. I told him we had to get a picture with Mel too. We had Mel there. Shout out to Mel. Jeffrey, thank you for the 20 spot. Finally got payment set up. First super chat ever, and I wanted it to go to you. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for everything that you do. Been in the space since 2016, stacking XRP since 2016, and so glad you are helping the little people. Well, Jeff, that's the fun part too. Is we're helping the little people. We're also helping guys with some big bag. I speak with some guys and some gals. I'm like, holy cow, you weren't joking about that bag of XRP, were you? And I get to learn from you guys as well too. This has been a learning experience. It's been it's been an enjoyable relationship with the community because I feel like I get to provide value to you guys every day. And then you guys get to bring your own experiences, your own businesses, your own opportunities to me. And your guys' feedback is everything to me. I mean, I have to obviously scroll past the trolls when I'm reading all of your guys' comments, but your guys' feedback is what drives me. And it's what allows me to fine tune my content in my delivery, right? And when I look at where we're at when I first started on YouTube back in 2021 to where we're at right now, it's just night and day difference. And I still feel like we're still growing so much. We're just getting started. I skipped a super chat. Uh-oh. Let me go back. Dennis says All-Star Dinner, Hulk Stew, 1970 Legend, and me. There you go. There you go. I know. Hulk was telling me what he ate when he showed up to the Caleb and Brown thing. He said that he ate some big steak, like something ridiculous, some 18-ouncer or something crazy. I was like, dang, bro, I can't eat that much. I go for a 12-ounce max. What's that Fort Worth ribeye at Texas Roadhouse? Oh boy. Fantastic cut of meat. Nice and fatty. We just got a Texas Roadhouse in our county not too long ago. We don't have all the fun stuff like you guys. That's a nice cut of meat. But yeah, when I go to the steakhouses, I can't do much more than about a 12-ouncer. But yes, Jeffrey, thank you for the super chat, my friend. I'm glad that you're set up. Thank you for your support, guys. Really does mean a lot to me. I couldn't do it without you guys. You know, somebody said at last show that you guys are my sponsors, and it's true, right? I don't have sponsors. You guys are my sponsors. Without your support, we wouldn't be here. I think we're supposed to get our first In-N-Out in Washington, but it's like way down south by Portland. Let's just do another few minutes of questions and comments. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. If you guys haven't already, please make sure you've liked the stream. All of our community resources are linked up down below. I have added the Coinbase Advanced referral link down there. So if you guys are looking to trade on Coinbase, the Coinbase Advanced is available for you guys. I pay for Coinbase One, which I guess is something separate, but it's $30 a month, and it allows my fees are like nothing. So that's where I'm trading the futures markets at right now. And so I've added that link down below for Coinbase Advanced, and we have all of our other community resources available there for you guys. Thank you for using those. It does support the show. And then tomorrow I'm going to make available on Patreon the trading lesson Futures 101. So if you're trying to learn how to trade futures, this is kind of like a basic introductory 101 lesson. It's about 21 minutes long, 22 minutes long. So it's not terribly long, straight to the point. And I break down the basics of what a futures contract is, how to use Coinbase, but it's the same on any other platform for the most part. And then I explain how I use futures to both hedge and leverage. And then the final part is the secret sauce, which I'm actually hesitant to even really talk about because I don't want more people to pick up on it, because then the opportunity won't be present any longer. It's an arbitrage opportunity that I think is nobody else is talking about it. I know that much. Nobody else is talking about it. I've been trying to take advantage of it, but it happens so quickly. But I think that we're going to be able to snipe a few moves here. But anyways, that's going to be available for you guys tomorrow on Patreon. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this call up here. ZachRector.com. We'll have a fresh update for you guys tomorrow morning. We'll have the Trading Lesson Futures 101 available on Patreon. That'll be available for sale tomorrow. And I really just want you guys to stay tapped in this week. Big events on the horizon for XRP and macro catalysts as well. But in particular, we're watching for Judge Torres to accept the SEC versus Ripple settlement. I think that could be a catalyst to push XRP at least up to 260. We got big levels of resistance that we're going to have to push and flip back into support. But we're going to keep you guys up to date through this whole process. Right now, we nailed that XRP long. That one's up 25%. And so we've been in this game for 4 years, pretty active. Obviously, I got into crypto back in 2018. But over the past few years, we've really dialed in the trading strategies. And, whether it be XRP memes, just finding low cap gems, or whether it be trading the futures, it's a full, wholesome strategy. And so if you guys want to get tapped in with us, just join us over on the Discord group. That's where our private community's at. You access that through Patreon to get into the Discord group. And we'd love to have you in the community. We do weekly calls every Saturday, and you have direct access to me and all of our community resources in there. Okay? Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a fantastic night. Stay safe out there, and God bless you all. Thank you.